Public Schools and our community's children are working together to better connect children to nature while enhancing a sense of place and building civic mindedness. We are pleased to have launched CCCN in Grand Rapids back in 2018. Shannon Harris is here to describe how Grand Rapids' advancing connection to nature is aligned with other core city and school priorities and how partnerships drive change in the growing city.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I didn't expect so many people in this room. When this first started, there was probably maybe 20 of us in here, but I'm so glad to see others have joined us. Good afternoon. I want to thank the Children and Nature Network for giving me the opportunity to share what Grand Rapids has done to create more equitable access to the outdoors, with a special emphasis on youth and families and really honoring their voice and choice. So my name is Shannon Harris, and I know that I look different from that picture. There's a couple of things that are different, but I assure you that's not my twin, that is me, but I'm really happy to be here again. So I am the Executive Director of Our Community's Children, which is a public-private partnership between the City of Grand Rapids Public Schools, and community partners. And this work would not be possible without the explicit support of our superintendent of the Grand Rapids Public Schools, our school board, our mayor, our 6 city commissioners, our city manager, as well as our Parks and Recreation department. We have a joint land use agreement that really binds our relationship, and we also have an office, Our Community's Children, that again is a liaison between the city and the schools. We also want to uplift our community-based organizations, our young people and our out-of-school time programs, affinity groups, our cultural institutions, and our local retailers, all working together to ensure that young people have equitable access to the outdoors. So when we formally and intentionally embrace connecting children to nature, we formed an advisory committee. And one of the first things that we did was to develop some shared language, a vision that all Grand Rapids youth deserved, let me repeat that, deserved to have equitable access to natural places and spaces for a healthy, happy life. And we knew that that wasn't true for some young people in our community, and we wanted to focus on that. We also developed some values grounded in positive youth development, equity, and effective partnerships. And these values really enforce what was already being done in our out-of-school time space. And during our Parks Master Planning process, it was revealed that there were communities in our neighborhood that were deficient in green spaces, and we wanted to head in that direction as well. This is just a fun scan of some of the work that had already been done in this space to advance equitable access to the outdoors. From the mayor's 10-minute walking campaign to what was happening inside the classroom to advance environmental education for our young people. And so we wanted to capture it, but we also wanted to think future forward. And what were some of those things that we could do to advance what we wanted to do with young people in the outdoors? And so one of the things was creating green schoolyards. So we became part of the Green Schoolyards initiative. And we knew that in our southeast and southwest areas of Grand Rapids, again, we're green deficient. And so we wanted to ensure that if we were going to do green schoolyards, they were going to be in those neighborhoods. And so these green schoolyards are being utilized during the school day. They're being utilized after school. They're being utilized in the evenings, in the summer. So they're getting full use, and we really look forward to continue to provide that resource for young people. And so these 3 photos really represent some of our green schoolyards and our nature-based playgrounds. And one thing that is very important to mention is that young people were critical in the design of these playgrounds. So they were seen as stakeholders in this work and not just recipients of the work. I would be remiss if I didn't highlight some of our financial supporters. So we received some local funding from our citizens of Grand Rapids during our Parks Millage. We also had some national supports from the Outdoor Foundation, National League of Cities, the Children in Nature Network, as well as one of our local funders, the Wege Foundation. So 3 years ago, Grand Rapids was selected to become a Thrive Outside community by the Outdoor Foundation, and our goal was to create repeated outdoor experiences for young people. And the work that we did included creating an adventure club committee and a gear library committee. So we facilitated focus groups with young people in elementary all the way to the post-secondary level to discover a baseline of what young people were doing outside and how much they were spending outside in our area and what they would like to do in the outside. We were also told during these focus groups, kind of funny, that the name Adventure Club was not the business. We asked youth what were their top 3 things they would love to do on the outside. And they told us rock climbing, camping, and hiking. Now, these are the things that they currently did not do and that they would like to do. And so our participants in elementary school reported going outside was a way that they can spend time with friends. Our older youth in high school and our college-age students said something a little different. They said going outdoors helps them to relieve stress from school, and they found it was a way for them to appreciate the outdoors. So with this information, we planned an event. We still kind of called it the Adventure Club until we could find another better suited name. But in January 2020, we partnered with our community-based organizations to hold a Freedom Outdoors event. And this was the weekend leading up to the MLK holiday. It was also in a park named by the same civil rights icon. And so we had a variety of experiences that we offered young people during that day. And this was one of many, many, many activities that we planned to do in 2020, but we all know what happened in 2020, right? So the bottom dropped out of 2020, we had COVID, and we kind of struggled, what do we do now? But eventually we regrouped and we combined our committees together and we focused on one thing, which was the Gear Library, to be able to give young people repeated outdoor experiences with their families. And so the Gear Library became our place-based response in this. And so we have a gear library that's located in what we call a neighborhood of focus, NOF, neighborhood of focus. And these are neighborhoods in our city that, because of some data that we received, are areas where we have the greatest disparities. And so we were very intentional about having this gear library in a neighborhood of focus. And so we are offering free equipment and experiences to young people and their families. We had a ribbon cutting in the fall of 2021. We have pop-up events that happen not only at the Gear Library, but also throughout the city. And we really focus on partnering with community-based organizations and our out-of-school time providers. And we are open for business. We are open for business, and this is a free service, no matter who comes to our doors, but our target audience are those young people and families that live in a neighborhood of focus. And so these last 2 slides are slides that really highlight some testimonials of what young people have experienced. And when young people really applaud an experience that made them feel a certain way, we always are saying to ourselves, this is a great opportunity, not only for them, but for us as well. And then this slide really highlights our connection with our out-of-school time providers that are really seeing this as a resource, and they're seeing us as a stakeholder in the work that they do. And so I just wanted to conclude by, again, thanking the Children in Nature Network for allowing me to be here to really highlight some of the things that Grand Rapids has done around ensuring that our young people have access to the outdoors in an equitable way, by embracing youth voice, by creating green schoolyards, by lifting up community-based initiatives, increasing environmental education during the school day, and removing barriers to accessing the outdoors. So thank you.
Thanks, Shannon. We can take a couple of questions for Shannon. I see a hand over here. The question was, what do you have available in your gear library?
All sorts of great stuff. So we have kayaks, we have binoculars, we have sleds, as you saw the young person on the sled during our winter activities. We have jackets, we have shoes, we have camping gear, so a wide variety of items. Some of those items have been donated by some of our local retailers.
So the question was, how do you handle larger gear that families might not have the ability to access otherwise, but also carry or move to the point?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have great staff in our gear library that will do any and everything to ensure whoever shows up at the door can actually take that equipment, use it, and have the supports that they need. So if we find families that don't have the equipment to transport a kayak down to the river, we will assist them in doing that. And we will also provide community activities that happen throughout the year where they can go to the park and experience those kayaking experiences.
Excellent. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.